Konrad's news segment of the week. This week we are talking about protests, all things Texas, and some sports. Settle in. Here we go. Protests erupted in downtown Los Angeles over ICE, which is the immigration something enforcement. Immigration Customs Enforcement, right? Yeah, thank you. I forgot what I stood there. With the property destruction of state and federal vehicles, prompting President Trump and Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary, to deploy National Guard and active duty Marines to downtown Los Angeles to restore law and order. President Trump has said today, Wednesday, June 11th, that he has reached a deal with China of a trade agreement. Up front, the United States receives mineral rights to many different minerals that China provides, as well as a 55% tariff on goods. China has agreed to incur a 10% tariff on American goods. Local and Texas news. This one is really interesting for all of us Austinites here. An MRI for your car? Have you ever heard of that? That's right. First in the Austin area at Austin Genesis, customers can drive into the dealership and go through the UVI. It's an AI-powered inspection system where hundreds of cameras take pictures of your vehicle and give you a proposed idea of future problems or issues that the cameras see. First of its kind here in the local Austin area. Is very interesting. Starting now until the end of October, the city of Round Rock is hosting the Trailside Market at Memorial Park. Every Saturday from 9 to 12, locals will be able to shop at local businesses and vendors. Lastly, for local news, a Bastrop teen, I thought this was very interesting, a Bastrop teen, Ezra Gohan, has signed a soccer deal with the Maxfield FC club in northern UK. It is a Northern Premier League, and they are doing extremely well, so this was a very interesting signing for a teenager. Lastly, regarding sports, the Pacers and the Thunders are tied currently 1-1. Game 3 Wednesday, with Game 4 being Friday. And lastly, for sports, Formula One is in Canada this weekend. Gentlemen, what do we think of the news so far?
China. Lots going on with China. I like the structure there. 55% tariffs for them, only 10% for us. No, access to these rare earth minerals. Interesting, right? Very interesting. The timing that all these deals are getting done. Only because there's just a lot happening politically in the country. You're right. With all the riots and everything taking place, and I think there's something needed to distract in the news, and I'm still waiting for the next big thing, because a lot of this is kind of unplanned, right? I think the stuff happening with China and Trump and the tariff agreement was all working itself out. Now we have all of these protests and everything happening. I'm curious how that's going to affect everything in that regard. I think we're sending National Guard. We're having protests
Active
here in
duty
Austin
Marines.
even.
Yeah.
Marines are being sent. So things are getting very heated. And it's a sensitive subject, you know. It really depends on where you align on how strong your views are on it. But at the end of the day, I think we all love to... We're a country. We're all citizens of this country. No one likes to see this type of protest where it gets violent, where rocks are being thrown at innocent cars. Although police cars, not acceptable, but just innocent people driving along, trucks hauling horses. Like, it's all exacerbating to a point that I think is a little bit...
Chaos.
Well, it's chaotic and it's reminiscent of like the George Floyd stuff that was happening not too long ago, where it was really starting to get out of hand. January 6th, like everyone, the climate's hot. So I'm hoping that it kind of starts to, boil down a little bit and get a little bit better, because as a country, we're better when we're all kind of firing on the same cylinders, and we've been so divided for so long that this type of stuff happens. I'm like starting to wonder on the big scheme of things, like when are we all going to come back and be so, because I've got friends on both sides, and even friends I've had for years, the ones that are way more left leaning, it's harder and harder and harder to bring them back in centrally. And the same with the right, to be honest with you. Super right wing people, it's the same thing. Like, it's harder and harder to bring people back into the center because things are kind of volatile right now. Right. So that's been concerning, I guess that's my 2 cents on the news. It's just the news has not been. I don't like watching the news because it's just a bunch of negativity. But it's what's happening, so it has to be reported on. But that's what's happening. So yep. I hate to see it downtown Austin. I hate to see it in my city and where I live. So I'd like to see some coming together. Hopefully, I don't know what that looks like. It's not my job. I would hate to politicians, man. It's a tough thing.
So did you mention the fight between Trump and Musk or something like that?
He didn't even touch Elon and Trump.
Yeah.
No room for it.
I was wondering.
There is a fight between Musk and Trump.
Yeah.
That is.
I think I mentioned that last week, actually.
Okay.
Can I ask you guys a quick question?
Yeah.
What do you guys think of, Elon's comments was, well, why don't we create a third party?
Oh, yeah. Well,
what do you guys think about that?
I think that's something people have been wanting forever, but I think it's not really like
we mentioned this
possibility just because of the alignment of parties, I think everybody would love that, but it's the reason libertarians never win. It's right and it's left. But he put a poll out for viewers or somebody hasn't seen. Why don't we create a political party that represents the 80% of the middle of America? And who would support that, yes or no? And 90% of people said yes.
We touched that last year on because election and whatnot. And it's like it's always is either Republicans or Democrats. And then so like we commented on the way the election runs. It's not about you vote for the is it called college? What's it called? You vote for you don't
there's
vote.
Electoral colleges.
Electoral college, you don't vote for the candidate per se, even though you're aiming the candidate, right? But you're voting for the electoral college. So if the vote was strict to the candidate,
like a popular vote,
and then potentially a third party would do a little better. I don't oppose to that. I think that would also be an interesting thing for America as a first, right? So, but I don't know. We mentioned that. So, like, hey, there are other ideas out there that might be a little better. But, nevertheless.
The problem is, you saw it with RFK. RFK was, and he's got very popular, right and left ideologies. The problem is, if you don't completely fall in line with one, you're ousted from the other.
Which is a terrible system, but we know that's how it works.
Yeah.
But you have to fall in line completely with one system to have a chance of really winning.
We had this experience before with Perot.
Ross Perot.
Ross Perot, right?
Got the closest.
I think he got like 12% or something.
It was the highest.
Yeah, it was the highest.
Certainly ever since. Yeah, he got close.
But it still doesn't win.
12% of the that's a large amount of people. But it's just not.
But doesn't win.
It's not close to winning, which is a problem of the system, not a problem of the people running, not a problem of the values and the ideas that they have for policies. It's just the way the system is. So that's what needs repairing, but it's like any other thing.
Both parties
happen immediately.
are being represented by the extreme, so this is one of the problems, like it doesn't matter. So you see, like it seems like nobody can actually contradict anything.
Yes.
The direction the party's going. You see, as an independent as I am, when I see that, it's silly.
Mm-hmm.
The news are always exaggerated. It's silly. It gets into my nerves because I feel like man, you don't know how I respond to the Democratic groups I'm part of, on the Republican groups I'm part of. Shit, man.
I don't want to be there.
I lose my mind. I lose my mind. Like, okay, so walk me through this. And then, man, the reason leaves the room.
Contextually, though,
Well, it's all tribalism.
he's
at the end of the day.
very...
Tribalism.
He is independent, very central, where it's like even stuff that we'll talk about candidly, I'm more right-leaning, and I always have been. I'm Texan. Not every Texan is right-wing, but that's what it is, and we have conversations with George, and he will be the first one to combat what you're saying, not in a... he doesn't want to argue with you, but for the sake of arguing, he's just opening up conversation. Like, okay, I see what you're saying. He challenges thought, and it's thought-provoking when you challenge. So, I know what you do with us. I don't even want to know what you do with far lefts because we're not even far right. I think I'm very central, leaning right,
Well, and it's
not far right.
And I think it's good, too, because most people live in echo chambers, especially nowadays with
for
social
sure.
media and what they want to see. And if you live in an echo chamber, and then for somebody like George to
Challenge your ideas.
challenge your idea, and you go, what?
What did you just say?
Hello? It's not what I'm used to. It's a good thing.
Well, I'd like to ask, so candidly, I'm young. For you guys, is this probably kind of the hottest political, Has it been this tense before in your life? Or are we reaching points where this is getting just as tense or more tense than other times in your life?
Well, that's for Scott because I'm new to the country.
How old are you, Dylan?
I'm 28.
Okay, cool. Probably, I think so. I think that 2020 election era was probably the highest, most just angry
Trump and Clinton.
people getting all echo chamber angry about ridiculous things that they attached
2020 was
themselves to.
2016 would have been
and
Hillary Clinton.
I think
Sorry.
I think that was probably it. Yeah, 2016 was in there.
2020 got a little
2016, yeah, 2020 was probably the worst, I would say. The most emotional,
November
the fighting and
2019
the
to June
rioting and all this
2020.
stuff. Yeah, that's as far as my, because when you had the Obama years in 2008. When he got elected, we were going through an economic meltdown,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah,
so
the
it was
biggest
like,
ever, really. But
yeah.
I've
So people were,
never experienced-
bailing out the banks.
yeah,
The market
people were
just
really mad
crashed.
about that, and so yeah, he had a lot of wind behind him in those elections,
Toxic
and so there
credits.
wasn't so much of an anger regarding that election.
I remember 2008. I was at my uncle's house watching the election, and they all started crying when Obama was elected
Really.
because they were just super upset.
Okay.
And then I don't think he was a good president.
Artist.
I
That's
know
what he
I'm-
was. Celebrity.
But
Oh yeah.
I'm
I was
just
gonna say that because I remember in 2008 I was in UK, and
I made money.
I
though.
saw a little bit of like
I was 11.
a division that
And I made money.
a lot of people were like very happy, and a lot of people very sad. There was no in between, in 2008. I remember that. Watching the news in UK. In UK, nobody even cared much, but there was a hope that things would be better in the US because of the economic crisis, and there was like a lot of happy people and a lot of very sad people. There was nothing like when George Bush, was elected. It's like just like good, it's like, all right, what I mean. It's like we get through it. It wasn't like as upsetting when I saw the news, but
Yeah.
And I even feel like this ice event that's happening in LA. Does anyone really know what happened in LA that led up to the protests or anything? So that's not being reported, but there was close to 200 criminals that were active in the cartels, child pornography, child sex labor, that were arrested. So it's highlighting, and that's kind of getting pushed under for the simple fact of then what has led to ICE being in Los Angeles and then leading into the riots. So it's one of those things where the good is being overshadowed by now the destructive protesting part of what has happened, because it is something that the United States does need to do, is get rid of criminals, and if they are illegal criminals that are doing, bad things, they need to get taken out of the country, in my opinion. If I'm
not mistaken, did Trump not just enact some travel restrictions too from a bunch of other countries coming in now? Like, I know Jamaica's on that list. I know that because I just went on my honeymoon to Jamaica and I met some people there that make an honest living, and they had been saving up and were happy that they're going to be traveling to America towards the end of the year. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Man, from my point of view, it sucks big time. And
sucks is not the right word, too.
Yeah,
it's like it's terrible.
For me, because right now, while this podcast is happening, I'm speaking with parents who can't enroll their kids in school.
Yep.
No.
I work with athletes that I represent and help athletes, students to come to the U.S.
Right.
And
they can't. They're facing a difficult.
No one. They can't buy their tickets. They can't plan anything.
Right.
And we are talking about millions of people. It's affecting millions of they can't plan. They planned this trip for about 4 or 5 years. They have nothing to do with this, and
they're not criminals. They're not bad people.
And
they're here. They're going to improve our society.
I can't. Yeah. I was instructed not to speak much about this. Right.
Well, you're not. We are.
Yes. You can. I can't speak much about that.
You can though.
But
I know what you're saying, but
yeah, I can't. Right, so I'm just saying that
it's a free country.
But I know what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't know how the repercussion, whatever I say, is going to be used against me.
It's a free country. You can say whatever you want. That's a big liberty for me to say as an American-born person, a Texan-born person. I think I got an Austinite here with us, so it means something to be born here. For somebody that's coming here, I understand the hesitance. I get it. But I think a good point is you're not leading this off. I think we're bringing this point up that it's kind of not the rug is being pulled out from other people that have been planning for things, maybe in financial planning. We'll tie it all back in. But people could have been planning on this for years, and now this has happened, and it's kind of pulling the rug out from under them. And I think it's a terrible thing. Not that Trump's doing something terrible. It's just the situation sucks. Like, it's just a terrible situation to happen to people. It's not great. But this is why I don't want to be in that position, because people are always like, well, what would you do? I don't know. I don't have the right answer. And I don't know that there is one right answer. Any one thing you do affects millions of people. So it's just a weird position that we're in right now. And it's not like we're at war, but we are stopping people from coming into this country from all sorts of other countries. Not Mexico, not Venezuela, like countries that were not involved in the things that we're facing on the southern border,
Well, and they've already, and this happened a couple years ago, but there was I think there was a compound in Colorado with, I think it was on like 10 acres or 100 acres. I forget how much land it was, but it was a terrorist cell where these jihadists from, I believe it was Syria or Libya, were training in Colorado, and they had about 200 people there training. A terrorist compound cell here in the United States. And the FBI knew about it, and before anything could have happened, they came in and arrested the people. These type of terrorist cells are here in the United States, though. Yeah. This is something, even when I was in the Marine Corps, they taught us about, like, hey, you have to be careful about certain parts of where you go to because of your military background. You could be a target for for terrorist groups or for being close to the border. We were in Camp Pendleton for the cartel. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you bring up stops for people from other countries to come into, right? And I know yours is a little different because of college and universities. That's a whole other thing. But I mean, the travel ban is for a lot of countries where people overstay their visas and then end up living in the United States illegally. And
yes, but I mean, when you
of status,
exactly.
I think that's something that's very misconstrued too, because staying here off status outside once your visa expires is not even a misdemeanor. It's considered a civil offense. So it's not like that's not like a jail time thing. And people run with what they hear, and you assume someone's here too long, so you're an illegal immigrant, alien, get out. That's not even how we describe these people. That's not how we categorize it. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. And even I was ignorant to that, to be 100% candid with you, working with Hilton and understanding a little bit more about the green card process, specifically from Brazil, but it doesn't matter where it comes from. But the whole process of coming into this country is not a walk in the park. It's not like, and that's everyone's super right-wing side. That's the point they make. It's like, send them all back, let them come in legally. The process of doing that is not like I fill out a piece of paper and I'm here. It's a process. And it's just not fair to the people, but I'm not one side on the fence, you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
and I think that's,
many things are not fair.
And I think that's the problem with it, is it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's a
human issue.
It's a human immigration issue. Make it easier. Like, technology is out there to do a complete deep dive into the history of who these people are. And if it meets the requirements to come in, fantastic. Come on in on a work visa. We know where you live, and if you overstay that visa, we will come talk to you about it. Like, there has to be some type of immigration reform that needs to take place.
And overstaying a visa, again, it's not a criminal offense.
The off status is the thing is what the American embassy prides the most, not prides the most, but values the most is the truth, right? So the off status of a person is they lied,
right?
So they're not going back when they said that they would. So they get a mark of a 10 years ban, but they are not banned forever. They get a ban of 10 years, and 10 years later you apply, and then you get your visa back, and then you come back in. So it's different than somebody just jumping the wall and then coming in, right? So that's the true illegal, the illegality of a off status person is based on the lie. And lie is a very important thing for the U.S. government. We want people here that are not lying, because we do not value people that do not lie as the American thing. The American
mindset.
Mindset, the embassy, the ideology.
There's a huge connotation to the word lie too. Like, if you're labeled as a liar, there's a heavy negative connotation added to that, And I think that the way everybody comes in is different, right? So people that come in illegally is one thing. Off status is a completely different thing that I would love to talk to somebody that experiences this day in, day out. Maybe somebody that represents these people, somebody that represents against them. Doesn't matter. Someone that's kind of expert in that field. What's the percentage of people that are here out of status versus illegally crossing the border? Because I think there's a misconstrued on what people view as an illegal alien versus lawful people that have immigrated here that are just out of status. That's a huge caveat. I'd love to learn the difference between those two from someone that sees that.
A lot of people off status are paying the taxes because they have like IT number, 18 number, whatever it's called, ITIN number. So they're paying the taxes. These people actually get a little bit easier thing. They still get the 10-year ban if they try to travel outside. And now, even if they travel inside, right, the country, it's being looked at. So unless they go by car, and then there is no border when they're crossing a state or something like that. But
get pulled over for the taillight out.
Yes, or something like that. Yeah, but anyways, it's the lie thing. For example, as the any visa process application, and when you have a visa process application, even though if you become off status because it's in between, if you have an application, you still have the right to be in here. But if that visa is denied, and then you have about a month to leave the country, but you still within that month you can reapply or do something like that, and then you can stay.
Yeah.
But the visa process are expensive. The green card costs a lot of money. I know because I paid for it, and then it is a lot of money. So.
Well, that's why
And
I
I
was
went
ignorant
through
to all
it,
that.
and I went through that with my wife because there was a time where her student visa expired, and we started the resident green card process, but there was an in-between status where it's like exact same thing. We put
Well,
it in, we haven't heard anything, but her
She
status,
wasn't really off status because she had an application in, but it's on that limb that you
Right.
cannot travel, you cannot do anything.
right.
But yeah,
But with being married to you, what's the path to citizenship there? Because I thought by being married to an American-born citizen, should that not?
Yeah, but you still have to put it in the process.
yeah,
Well, not
it
that
takes
it
about a
should-
year or so. It takes about a year
I
or
know
so.
that you have to go through the
Wow, it
paperwork, but
does?
shouldn't that streamline the process a little bit?
Wow,
That's
I
what
didn't
I'm
know
saying.
that. Yeah, it's a
I
bad
was
system.
ignorant to all of this stuff and kind of
So
more so than ignorant, kind of anti. Like, the more I've learned about this, the process isn't easy.
No.
It's not great. So the people that
No.
do get here legally have gone through lots of checks,
Illegal immigration is a multi-billion-dollar business that
Yes.
benefits the largest corporations in America. And who runs Congress? It's corporations. That's who they serve. And so that's probably why, at least in theory, why we're sitting here thinking logically, well, yeah, if somebody wants to live in Texas, who lives in Brazil and looks at us and says, wow, look at this great independent place, I want to go live there for whatever reason they want to come up with, and they're a law-abiding citizen their whole life, they should be able to come. But we've got this backward system that makes it so difficult for the people that we ultimately want to have here get here.
It's
I
like
was just
someone
thinking-
you've had your heart broken and you never want to fall in love again. So you put all these checks up where it's like you got to pass all these tests before I even let you talk to me.
And I was just thinking, all of us are thinking logical, coming up with like left, right, this, and then Scott over here. It's like, just follow the money, you
It
idiots.
has nothing to do with logic
Just
at all.
follow the money.
It's the money, yeah.
Government
It's the
is owned by the
logic of-
corporations. They want it, so
See,
but I
economy.
mentioned that,
They benefit from it.
they benefit.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned that. The
Watch
the
Sicario.
process takes a lot of money. I paid a lot of money. I paid the government. I paid lawyers' fees. I paid visas fees. It takes a freaking lot of time and money.
Some people
And
pay
patience.
$5 million.
Well, that's
Just
the
to-
gold
Pay
card.
That's the
$5
gold
That's
card.
the gold
Gold
card,
card.
George.
Yeah.
That's a different beast.
I love
Yeah.
the gold
That's
card.
that's a fast pass, and it doesn't guarantee citizenship either, does it?
And that's so elitist.
Well,
That's so elitist.
Well,
man.
the law dictates
There's a good reason behind
after so many years you can apply for
It's a
citizenship,
business.
which is 5 years
business.
after you have a green card or
But
gold card or whatever.
Before this whole gold card, you and I have talked about this before. There was already a system in place. If there was somebody coming into the country bringing a high-value business, I'm going to bring in
$900,000, you can open a business in the West.
or
Yeah.
millions or whatever it is. I do
Plus
business. It's $5 million a
hiring-
year.
There are
Well,
some
depending
criteria.
That's
coming
always
coming
been
from
there.
Europe, 250,000
Yes.
coming from Europe doesn't get you path to green card, which is what I did because I'm Italian
But that's
as
what I'm saying.
well
So
as
he's
Brazilian.
combined all of these things.
That's insane.
So it's like you
That's
get
so much
there
money.
was something where so you bring in, you do $1 million business or whatever, and you get all these.
hire a
He's
certain
combined
number
of-
of people. Of course, there are all their criteria to follow. It's not only that.
He has streamlined a path. It's expensive. No arguing that it's expensive, but you there's a path where you come in, you do blah blah, and it helps you get towards citizenship faster. Is it worth the money? That's not for me to say, but it's not like it just came up out of nowhere. Like there was already a similar process. It just wasn't like I'm calling it the gold card, and we all know Trump. We likes to put a brand on something,
Yeah.
so it's the gold card.
Bet.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
I
I mean,
think-
it is what it is.
One thing that it might not affect you, right, is the fear mongering, right? There is a strong fear mongering for millions of Americans who weren't born here. They are citizens. They were threatening citizens, American citizens, who weren't born here. Green card, you're not safe. You know, like it feels like
That is fear mongering though, because that's unlawful.
it feels like if I speed up 37 miles an hour in a 35 miles area, I'm going to go to jail, or I might, not me, right? I'm saying
Generally.
you have to go back to your country. You know, like this feeling, man. Another thing that I wrote here is the World Cup. Vance said, you see, you're kind of welcome, but don't overstay.
For the upcoming World Cup here in the States?
You have no idea. I think 20% of people gave up their tickets. The club
Because a lot of people would say, I'm just going to stay there. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
not because of that.
Oh, man,
because they say, I won't go to a
insensitive,
country.
but does that open up
I won't
tickets
go
for
to a
us?
country that treats me this way.
'Cause I would
This
love
is why
to
my
go.
friends in Europe are saying, I won't go. I will boycott it. So the Club World Cup, the tickets were like $400, $500. Some tickets were like $3,000, $90,000. I'm just waiting. I didn't buy it because
How does this affect people coming here for Formula One?
Hey,
Las Vegas.
So, and FYI to that, sorry, this is kind of a good thing. Group B, which Brazil typically plays in, is Group
Yes.
B, is supposed to be in Houston.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So,
Could you imagine the price of that game?
Yeah.
The tickets
I'd love
are
to go
dropping.
there.
Some tickets that I saw $400 now is $100. I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
I'm just
you
gonna
buy
show up.
buy for Atenas.
Yeah,
They're available now.
Dude, if they're for a tenner,
not
we're
for,
going.
not for the
Oh, yeah.
World Cup,
Sponsored.
the Club World
Oh,
Cup.
sorry.
That is
Thank
happening
By,
now. Nobody knows.
Live Oak
Thank you.
Studios.
Thank you. Yeah.
What was that?
Live Oak Studios. Well, they're going to sponsor it. If they drop to like 50 or less a ticket,
Shit. Oh, well,
everyone
who's
will
not
go.
going to go to a World Cup
man,
game?
Everyone would go.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I don't mean to be insensitive because it's unfortunate. But if the price of I've dreamed of going to a World Cup game. You know, like, that's a huge thing.
but I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna show up. I'm just
I'd
gonna
like
show
for the
up to the
price to keep
cities.
dropping.
Will the games
Yeah.
in Houston and Dallas be the first ever World Cup games in Texas of all ever? It's got to be, right?
World Cup
In
games,
Texas,
yes.
right?
World Cup,
Yes.
And
yes.
probably, maybe, likely, never will happen again. This is a once in a lifetime deal.
It may happen again, not in our lifetime, but yeah.
Yeah.
But if it
Not in
does,
our
like
lifetime.
you can't predict that it will. So
So-
take advantage of what's given to you. And it's,
Seriously.
I'm just at a younger age. I don't think I ever cared about soccer, and the more I don't follow a lot of soccer, but when I do, it's always the World Cup.
This is a big deal.
World
Did you know
Cup is
there's
nice.
there's more fans of the Mexican national team, Mexico, in the United States than there are in all of Mexico?
Yeah.
I mean, they are a big deal here. So those games, so the Brazil game,
Don't calculate Brazil
the
then, because
Mexico
you're going to
game,
be
the
amazed.
U.S.
The
game.
Cotton Bowl in Dallas hosted 6 games
I'll
in
go with you.
1994.
Dressed in
thank you.
Brazilian,
Thank you.
the Brazilian
Thank
flag.
you.
I just want to go and watch it.
So 30 years.
an
It's been 30
experience.
years.
Yeah.
The
But
World Cup, the
Okay.
last World Cup.
94.
in
Oh, yeah,
US
that's right.
Was in
Was
Dallas.
in 94.
Thank
Yes.
Brazil won it
Yes.
against Italy.
What are some Brazilian chants?
Guys, I unfortunately have to get going.
Sure.
I have to go. Sorry. But keep talking.
Love you, Conrad. I'll see you next week, buddy.
Yeah,
See you, man.
Absolutely.
Pleasure to meet you, Conrad.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
do
fun,
y'all
man.
have
Absolutely.
I'll see you guys later.
See you,
Well, for
man.
some home runs, yeah?
$20 each.
Yeah.
$20 each.
You should be super proud, man. I'm sure you
Yes.
are.
Hey, what about the tennis game in France?
Oh.
That was actually a very exciting thing.
Yeah,
I wanna
let me
I
tell
wanna
you-
finish on a high note
Did not
over
see
here.
that.
Gary, let me, before you say that,
Excuse
today,
me.
Alcaraz is going to pay 1 million euros.
Who?
Alcaraz, who was the
The
Spanish,
guy.
The champion.
Spanish who
French
who
Open
came
champion.
back to
Tennis player?
Yeah, who won the Roland Garros. He was like two sets behind, and then he came back and he won.
Okay, he won
Yeah,
from 2
so-
sets
yes,
behind.
5 hours.
Sorry, I'm very ignorant.
5
to
hours
this.
and 29 minutes. It was pretty long. It's
That's how long
the
the full
longest, the longest final ever. Roland Garros final, right?
That's impressive.
He's gonna pay a million euros, and he made 2.5 million euros.
What
so
is he paying $1 million for?
€1,000,000 because he's gonna pay 15% in France and the other
Oh,
20.
these are taxes.
20. Yeah, that's that he was taxed, and
So
he's
he's
gonna pay
clearing
1.5 mil
out of 2.5.
out of 2.5.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah.
That's
And you know what?
France.
That's about right.
He's like
Spain
20
and
years
France.
old. He's 20 years old. He's probably moving to Monaco after that.
Yes.
He's probably moving
Yes.
to Monaco after that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's gonna be real
Shit.
buddy with Lando Norris, Max Verstappen,
Lewis Hamilton.
everybody that lives
All
there.
of the Formula One drivers.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's
Yeah.
another thing I'd be curious to look into is Formula One tickets later on in the calendar. You know,
It
we've got
might go
October,
down.
With Vegas and Austin coming up on the calendar,
They're the
are
most
people going
expensive.
to be traveling here? And those are the most expensive venues.
Yeah.
Following
Vegas
by-
is the most expensive venue.
Yeah, following by Mexico and Brazil. Those
So
are the
I'd
most
be curious
expensive
to
ones.
see if more ticket prices open up and if they lower the price. I doubt it, but I'm going to start
possible.
looking into it
It's
because
possible.
if there's an opportunity for us to go to the Austin race, man, I'd love to.
Yeah.
We are avid Formula One fans.
Okay, that's
so
cool.
I would,
Yeah.
I would really enjoy that. That'd be awesome. And it's the weekend before I get married. So, logistically speaking, it might not work out, but I'll find a way. If we can get a ticket,
Well, didn't you say you already went on your honeymoon?
I did. I do a little bit of dessert before dinner.
Okay.
No, it's
All
a really
right.
long story.
Sorry.
I'll spare you
Yeah,
the details.
I got you.
But I was supposed
Congratulations.
to get. Thank
Sorry.
you very
Yeah,
much.
That's most important.
I was supposed to get married in Jamaica, and we had to restructure some things because of family drama.
Okay.
People that didn't feel comfortable traveling there and things. So we had to repivot to do the
Okay.
wedding here locally. But finding a venue was hard, so we had to push it out to October. So technically, I should already be married. So that's why this is actually an engagement ring that my fiance makes me wear to let all the other women know I'm taken.
Yes. Good. That's important.
That's to her. That's problematic. I don't have women throwing themselves at me, and she doesn't seem to understand that. But
Yeah.
I'm happy to wear
Well,
the
don't
ring.
let her know otherwise. You want to keep her.
Yeah.
She's got
Keep it
competition.
suspect.
Should have let her know.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
That's right.
I'm wanted.
That's right. You are.
So
Yeah.
But we paid for it all, and so I was like, let's just go.
Yeah.
So it was a fun vacation. So I got to do the honeymoon, but we'll do another thing afterwards. I think we're gonna do like a road trip and maybe go see the Grand Canyon and do a little thing afterwards. But we got to do the big thing already.
Hey, I'm gonna have to be by myself here while
Again.
you're on a next honeymoon.
I know it's so unfair.
You know what? After 19 years of marriage, my wife doesn't really care.
Well, give it 19 years, my wife probably won't either. So
yeah, but that's life. That's how
all.
life
I'm-
is.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it all. It's just
Congratulations to you both. Then 19 years. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something to say about that.
and they haven't killed each other, and
Yeah.
No, we don't own guns or knives in the
they
house.
don't know. That's exactly
Yeah.
why they
not
don't.
allowed.
Not allowed in
It's a
the
good rule.
house.
The temptation's too
No
real.
If you need to kill someone, you have to use a fork or something.
yeah.
or a
Dylan.
spoon. A spoon. You know what I mean?
Dylan,
Dylan, I need
your
you.
I'm like the resident Texan of the group. It's
Good.
like,
You got all the
can
guns
I
and the
borrow your
horses.
AK? Can I?
Yeah. Access to the ranch.
Yep, it's all those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
That's
I'd
cool,
like to
man.
go experience a Brazilian ranch. Y'all have vast country. There's no
Yeah.
shortage of space in
Oh
Brazil.
man,
man.
Brazil's
You
an
go
amazing.
It's
north.
huge.
Yeah.
You go north central Brazil, you see like gigantic ranches.
Oh yeah.
Did you know that Hilton used to own an ostrich farm?
I did not know that.
In a tire store.
I'm a licensed, actually,
He's a licensed ostrich
ostrich farmer.
farmer.
Licensed.
Licensed.
Do you maintain this license?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Well, you
do
don't
you
really
need to
have.
maintain it?
No, you don't
Probably
have to.
not. It's a
Okay.
one-time.
And once you get it, you get it. It's like a
I can
degree.
I can understand why, because I wouldn't imagine imagine caring for an ostrich is probably pretty difficult. It doesn't
Oh,
seem
they're
easy when
silly.
you look
Yeah.
at those
Let me
things.
tell you.
They're very silly. Yeah.
They die in very unique ways,
Okay.
just because they are very silly. But something unique about Hilton's ostrich farming is that when they lay eggs and birth new ostriches,
Fertile eggs. Yeah.
fertile eggs, not the ones you eat, there's a certain percentage of those eggs that turn into baby ostriches
How much bigger?
and thrive. And that percentage is honestly pretty low.
Okay, in natural habitat, 4 to 5%.
Yeah.
Survive.
Confined habitat, 20%.
Wow.
Our farming, because of all of my license and my dad being very nerdy, 82%.
Wow.
82% survived
impressive.
and thrived.
So,
It's
yeah.
It was-
unheard of, actually.
Okay.
It was unheard of, and it was the most successful ostrich farm in the world. It was so successful that my uncle was the major owner. I was like, I don't know what to do with so many ostriches. I'm gonna sell it all, and then call off the business. And then we it's like, hey, we
know
could
what
be
to do
rich
with it.
right now selling leather.
Distribution, my friend.
If you would have kept it
Okay.
going, though,
Logistics.
some big corporation would have shut you down. They would have saw what you had going on. Like, this doesn't work globally, and they would have paid you out and shut you down regardless. So
But I would have
the
paid down.
difference is the payday.
yeah.
You
No
got
problem
cut
at all.
short of the payday. Yeah.
I don't think so. They would because the leather, ostrich leather, is so profitable. If you see like a belt made of ostrich leather,
Yeah.
is $250.
Yeah.
Any other leather,
It's a nice belt.
it's like 45.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
What's stopping
Five
us from
times
starting
more.
a ostrich farming
Oh.
coalition in Brazil right now? You have the data. You know what it takes. What's
And
what's
the
stopping
license.
us?
Well, why can't you do
and
it?
you have the license,
And
which
the
is the
license.
biggest
I got
gap.
a license.
Why can't you do it in Texas? Land.
You have to do it south, very south Texas, but then you have all of those hurricanes and whatnot that disturbs things. So it's not quite, and it would have to be land in maybe North Mexico. But north of Brazil is even better.
I'd love to look into this because there are people that own tigers in Texas.
Australia is
Isn't
not
the
bad.
statistic on tigers? There's more
There's more tigers in
Tigers.
captivity. Well, I'll say this.
captivity.
Yes, but I'm going to say this because no way we could ever fact check this.
Right.
But what I've heard is that we have more tigers in captivity in Texas than there are in the wild, right?
In the remainder of the world.
In the remainder of the world in the wild, which sounds crazy, but it might be.
In Texas?
Yeah.
There are people that own private zoos and private owners of tigers. There are more private owners there are more tigers in the state of Texas than the rest of the world.
They haven't been
Can you
to
imagine
Amazon,
the
although it's
cost
not a
of
tiger,
caring
it's
for
a
a
painter.
full-grown tiger?
I've got
you
two
must have, like,
domestic
cost-
house cats. I couldn't tell you tigers.
Good grief.
Yeah, I know.
You better have some money lying around.
So if you could do that, why couldn't you do an ostrich farm?
Yeah, you should be. Yeah, you could.
That's
yeah.
my only question.
That's a
if
good
you
question.
can do tigers, why can't you? It's zebras. People own exotic
The
animals.
problem is the code. If it gets too cold, and then they
don't do well?
It would probably get down to 15 to 20%. From fertilization of the egg to born a chick
What do you
to be able to
consider
get a
cold?
1-year-old, which it would fall into the average.
What do you consider cold though? Because I would argue here in Austin we don't experience extreme colds. Like it gets cold, but it's not
Well, but it gets colder than what they would
in Brazil.
in the north
Oh,
of Brazil
yeah.
and some areas in
sure.
Africa and Australia. So the best places are Africa, Australia, and Brazil. For
But
ostriches.
why can't we buy a bunch of them, get some land down there, and just pay people to run it the way we want them to run it? If it's
You'd have to have
it sounds
like
like a multi-million-dollar industry the way you're describing it.
it could be
With
it could
ostrich
be.
leather and stuff, this is untapped profit.
But how elastic is this? $250?
Hey,
You gotta
a
have
farm,
some
a farm.
lovers, leather lovers.
And here's
to
the
pay
thing, too, I
$250.
mean,
Farming is difficult.
As soft
It is
as that leather is, how often are you touching that leather? It's on the outside of your pants. I mean, who cares?
I think I bought
mean,
this
you
from
know,
Ross,
Yeah.
and it works. It's
But-
$20. You know?
To some people, there is a value play to it,
like
but for
alligator
someone like me,
boots.
there's no.
I just think the Texan market's a little different because people buy exotic leathers for
They do.
Cowboy boots and belts.
You-
Obviously,
you have
but
cowboy boots out of ostrich leather, and then
Yeah, there
those
you
are
go,
the
okay.
most expensive ones.
Yeah.
they are alligator boots. Ostrich
Italy-
leather boots.
How much do Texans can pay for hats?
A lot.
Oh, dude.
And boots.
Boots and hats,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So
A lot.
it might be
People
the
value
right
it. Well, it's-
market.
you're
It
talking
could
about
be.
You know, so
Yeah. Leather's
I'm
a
saying.
big
There's a-
business.
yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a value behind it. People will pay for. You do billfolds. Ostrich
It's all
leather
about
billfolds.
storytelling.
Like, there's
It's about the
something there.
storytelling. it's got to be someone. Of course, your
you get-
partner must be.
You get Matthew McConaughey as your spokesman.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
out there selling your
Right.
ostriches.
Your
Right?
partner must be Texan. Probably for 25 generations. No, they can't be. But for 10 generations, for sure.
Maybe
gotta
can't be
Texas.
10.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There would be Mexicans.
You build out the vision, right?
generations.
Like, this is going to
Yeah.
be, this amount a year. You call him up, his agent, like, I'm going to offer you $5 million,
Natives.
but I need you to do just a short ad read on this. Like, ostrich leather. It's Texan. It's right. Buy it.
Made in Texas, by Texas.
Made in Texas.
Texas, buy
buy
it.
Texas.
Exactly.
You buy an ostrich leather,
At the Kill
and you're gonna
Farm.
feel all right.
And you're going to feel all right. Ballerini Farm.
Oh, I like that. Sounds nice.
Sounds nice.
right.
It's
It
different.
does.
It's exotic. It's like
Uh-huh.
Ballerini
The most,
Farm are the hills of Austin.
most. I don't know the number, but I could guess like 80 to 85% of all of the ostrich leather is sent to Italy. They have it down. But
Ostracize your bouts.
nevertheless, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, we should.
Handbags, yeah.
Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe.
Like it.
Share with a friend. I didn't know we were still live.
And
Wow.
comment. And comment.
Wow. What a long one.
Goodbye.
We'll see you next time. I wasn't on my phone.